Welcome back. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you've heard me talk about one of my personal project cars, the 93 Civic CX hatchback that I have. It's got a swapped in entire drivetrain from an '08 Civic Si, hence the shirt. It's got the 5th gen Civic and then the SI logo from the 2008 and says SI powered. And what I wanted to do there, originally I had in high school a 94 Civic Si. And these cars are getting so hard to find and so hard to find in good shape. My latest one, the one I'm talking about right now, I got in 2017. And the only reason I kind of got it was the guy that had it, his girlfriend was driving it. I don't know if it was her car or his or whatever, but she kind of got in a little fender bender. So because of that, he's like, instead of fixing it, I'm going to sell it. And I was like, swooped right in. No rust. I had a parts car already. Threw some parts on it. And many years later, in 2021, I bought the swap, and then I did everything myself. The only thing I've done is I took it to a fab shop to have my header welded onto my exhaust because there needed to be some translation there, and I got a V-band and some cool stuff when I did that. And most recently, I made the trip to get it tuned by a professional, which solved a lot of my problems. So let's get into it. It was pouring. It was like a monsoon for a couple days. And of course, that was when I had my appointment. You know, he's booked for a long time. H-Day's coming up. So he has a lot of events that he attends and people are always trying to get in. So I had to make the couple hour journey. Got up at 5:30 in the morning. And here you see, I snapped a shot and sent this to my wife, but this is the best it was. Kind of crazy. You see my dash there. It's a little tore up. The only thing is I don't have the piece of trim in. I have a digital dash that I'm thinking about putting in because you have to convert the speed from my Honda K Pro to be able to read out on the stock speedo. So I don't know if I want to do that, all that wiring, or if I just want to put the digital dash in and then the surrounding piece and everything, which I already have, but it seems like it's a pain to install. But that'll give me speed by GPS, and I should be able to read the K Pro speed that it is reading because it has one and it's accurate, but I can't hold my laptop up while I drive. It's just a lot of these little issues that I need to address, you know what I mean? So where I was headed was Innovative Motorworks, and you can see they're in the same building as Sound Innovation there. I pulled this from their website. A lot of different cars they work on, but you know, for the most part, it's Honda Acura. And after the dyno tune, we walked from the dyno building where they have 2 bays. They have a hub dyno and then they have a Mustang dyno. And there was another car on the other side getting tuned at the same time, but I'll tell you about that in a second. And he took me through the shop and it was crazy. When we finally got to the showroom, there was a couple convertibles in there. Then there was a Mark V Supra that obviously had some tuning and some upgrades done to it. But in the shop, as you can see here, on the lift is his personal all-wheel drive, turbocharged, tuned by him, sequential Acura RSX, which if you look at his page, it's got like 600 horsepower, and he's converting it over to some more beefy all-wheel drive components right now from what he was telling me. This is his daily in front. This is a brand new Acura Type S, and it's basically the newest Civic Type R, but with a little bit of polish and less race boy. And as you can see under the lift is the Civic Type R, the EK9. If you want to check his page out, he has some more pictures of that. And I guess he just got done kind of going through it, making it look better, restoring it. And all those cars are amazing. Plus, the Type S was outside, but the entire shop was jam-packed. They're building like subwoofer boxes in there. They're working on a bunch of vehicles, doing all kinds of stuff. And it was just so cool to see. I felt like I was in like, you know, Fast and Furious for a second. Because where I'm at, there's nothing like this. You know what I mean? You have to drive a good ways away. And this is kind of a gem where it is. As you can see, I've got some, this is the side where the damage was. The red stuff, the hood, and the right fender here is from my parts car. I had a shell that I wanted to do, and then I found this one. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get this one because it was actually running, which was a better decision. But I lost the piece that was holding my front bumper on the right side, so I had to zip tie that back together. But there you have it. It is on the hub dyno. And what's neat about these is you take your front wheels off. There's these 2 adapters that go on, and the machine just kind of slides over them. So you don't need the huge apparatus. It's you know, fairly compact, especially for these front wheel drive cars. I would imagine that's kind of the best thing you can have there. And you can see the engine, you can see the K20 swap. And here's a sneak peek. Here's my car. My car in high school was a red Civic Si. This is a CX. It only came with 70 horsepower at the crank, stock, 5-speed little, Econo car. But over there's an R32 with an RB20 DET. Had a fairly large turbo for the small engine size, but he was telling me the guy has a couple other GTRs. So crazy. And here's another picture up. You can see him in the car with his laptop there. There's another 92 to 95 coupe in front. Funny enough, on the same wheels. And there's another look at the hub dyno. I believe those hoses on the floor have like hydraulic fluid because there was a tank on the side. I guess that's how it works, because they put a load on and then it simulates, the car's weight. As soon as I click here, it's going to go to one of the dyno pulls. He did a bunch of them to like a lower RPM to kind of bring things in. He fixed my throttle issue that I was having, because when I would get on and have either slight throttle or get off, it would just start bucking like crazy. But he did a couple things. He recommended a new TPS for me, and then when I got there, he adjusted that to where it's just ready to come on. And I kind of missed that step. I wasn't really aware of that. So, but it still drove, over a couple hours to get there, and did great. It's just those, minor things that make it more streetable. So this one is going to be a third gear pull to 8,450 RPMs, and here we go. So she sounds pretty good. It's actually pretty quiet. I had a straight through exhaust with a K-tune turned down muffler, full 3-inch, and I went away from that because the guy I had it put on locally, it was kind of not right and it leaked a little bit. So I knew of a place that was also a couple hours away, and they did that work for me. But this catback is a brand new product from Greddy, one of my favorite performance companies, and it is for this car and it's for swaps. It is an upsized 3-inch exhaust, but it does have a nice muffler at the back. So it kind of drones. It's still pretty loud inside the car because, I have just a header before that. It was definitely quieter than the R32 in the other bay. All right, so here's a nice shot of the engine bay. You can see the zip ties on the side. The cool thing is that's the only little bit that's like kind of bumped in. I wanted to get all this stuff sewn up before I do take it to the body shop and put that money in, because if it's not working and not running right, what's the point? So this was kind of the culmination of my swap and putting the final bow on it. So there's the graph. The blue is the horsepower you can see on the right, and the yellow or green line, whatever color it is the torque. And it's really nice to see because he's just so good at this, does it every day. You want that to be smooth. You also want the area under the curve, both curves, to be as much as possible, because if you have a build that's really peaky, a very large turbo, you're going to have it be low for a long time, and then at the end it's just going to spike. So what this is a great graph for a street car, and this is pretty much stock. There was a lot of work that went into it, a lot of parts, a lot of different things, but the main thing is it's just a 2008 Civic Si engine, stock internals, rated at 197 horsepower at the crank, remind you. But this does have some performance parts on it that I liked over like maybe just a K24 or something you would find like that. It has the good VTEC on both cams. It has a PRB intake manifold, so I don't have to fool with any of that. Don't have to take that off. But as you can see there, I've got the cold air intake, and all that means is that black piece goes down and then ends up all the way down by the bottom of the driver's side bumper there. And I successfully took it through all that rain and didn't have any issues with sucking in water, so that was awesome. But like I said, it's got a 4-to-1 header. It's got the Greddy exhaust. You can see the hybrid racing parts there, the half rad, radiator cap, the hoses. I have K-tuned belt and adapter over there. I have a tucked fuel system, throttle cable by them, battery stay. We have the limited edition in black Hasport mounts. I've got Downstar hardware. I've got a stage 2 competition clutch and light and flywheel. What else? The cool thing about the 2008 Civic Si swap, of course, one of the reasons I wanted it was it had that SI pedigree. It was an upgrade. I wanted to make the Civic hatch that Honda kind of should have made. This is a little bit more than that. Maybe a B series would have been what they should have made. But it is a 6-speed, and it has an LSD stock. So a lot of the other transmissions that you find that in these K-series swaps, they don't have that. Of course, you could take it apart. You can add it. But this is from Honda, from the factory. and 6-speed LSD, and the Honda K-Pro that I got actually is from a 6-speed RSX. So that means I have more street ability when it comes to putting it in reverse, or more importantly, shifting from 5th to 6th, that I don't end up over there. It'll actually lock the transmission out, so I can just have peace of mind and shift to 6th. On these small tires, it is imperative that you get the 6th gear as soon as possible so you can actually drive it. But like I said, these cars have 197 horsepower at the crank from stock, and as you can see on the graph here, we hit about 215 right before redline, rated about 7,900, and that is to the wheel. So corrected, that is about 239 horsepower and over 197 with a pretty much stock engine, just intake and exhaust. I mean, and some tuning. That is crazy. Stock injectors, and then the torque number also increased, which is kind of hard to do on Hondas, but we have a 157 to the wheels, and these cars only came with 139 at the crank. I didn't do the correction on that for torque, but I'm sure it's probably, we got another 24 horsepower, so let's say we got another 20 or so, we'd be up to like almost 180 foot-pounds of torque. And let me tell you, the key to all this, I know this doesn't sound like a lot of horsepower, especially for the amount of effort, but I love this car. I love the platform, love Hondas. This is my favorite. And these cars weigh 2,000 pounds, especially the CX. It's got wind-up windows, no frills, and you can even make them lighter than that. Probably not with me in it, but you know, we're around there. And all right, just as an added bonus, I wanted to show you the R32 that was over there making a lot of noise. It was a rear-wheel drive one, and my youngest said he wanted to go with me, and I'm sure he would have loved being there, but I was like, you got to go to school, buddy. You know what I mean? So here we go. Without further ado. And that thing was super loud, especially with the dyno spinning. My watch was yelling at me, telling me it was over 100 dBs, and I better watch myself. All in all, I'm super happy with everything and how it went. I'm so glad to finally have a car that is drivable and not a super big pain. The reason I wanted to do this swap was the 70 horsepower was just super lacking, and the clutch was going out of it. And I was like, you know what? Everybody wants to swap one of these if they have one at some point. And I had two before. I was like, you know, this is the one. I'm gonna try to do it. The biggest reason I wanted to do that was I just wanted to put, you know, racing seats in there, get a cool steering wheel. I do have a nice head unit, but I wanted to get some speakers. I wanted to make it, you know, nice on the inside, and I just couldn't do that while having a CX power plant. So I made the jump. I got this. I'm way too deep into it, but I'm happy, and now I can finally get my interior. But I do need some taller wheels and tires, because the gear ratio on this is super low with a stock or stock-ish tire size that these came with. So I'm going to need to run maybe a 205 50 15 or a 225 wide, whatever works. I think he said about a 24-inch tire should help me there, because stock these came with 215 45 17s, the '08 Civic SIs for that transmission. So I don't think I can get that big, and I don't want to go that big. But also definitely need body work. I wanted to get a red one, so eventually I could paint it red, and it was red in all the places that counted. I believe this is just like a Mako paint job they threw on. And the last thing I need after driving this back, I definitely need suspension. It does have some new rotors and Brembo pads, but the stock geometry, the stock style CX brakes, which are super small, I just got to be careful with that. But yeah, I definitely need suspension. It's body rolling all over the place. But yeah, now I get to move on to the next step. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to be back to the Forza content tomorrow. We're going to keep going on the festival playlist, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.